Today's garden has been described as breathtakingly beautiful, a living masterpiece, and a garden full of magic. Join me today as we explore Bodnant Garden near Colwyn Bay in Wales. Hello, listeners. Today is March 20th, and this is A Garden a Day with Maidenbrock Gardens. Thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying this first day of spring. Nothing is blooming yet in my garden, but the daffodils are blooming at Bodnant Garden. Acres upon acres of Narcissus pseudo-narcissus were planted en masse in the 1920s and 30s, and now cover the old park meadow with a blanket of yellow in March and April. The old park dates to the Georgian era, and when the daffodils fade, wildflowers take their place in May and June. Bodnant Garden spans 80 acres and began in 1874 when Henry Pochin purchased the estate and set out to establish a world-class garden. He planted the Dell Garden and the laburnum arch that visitors still enjoy today. The Dell includes towering trees, soft ferns, and water tumbling over mossy rocks. One of the garden's most photographed sites is found here, the Waterfall Bridge. In spring, azaleas and rhododendrons burst forth in vibrant color. The laburnum arch was planted in the 1880s and is the longest in the UK. Visitors will enjoy walking under its dangling yellow blossoms in May and June. This spot also makes for a stunning photo opportunity. In 1901, Henry Pochin's grandson took over the estate and planted the Italianate terrace gardens between 1904 and 1914. The uppermost terrace is planted with rows of roses. The next level down is the lily terrace, complete with lily pond. Going another level down is another rose garden. Both rose terraces include climbing roses and ramblers. The Bodnant Rose Garden is considered by many to be the finest in Wales. Through the pergolas inspired by the arts and crafts movement, visitors wind down to the lowest level, the canal terrace, with its long, narrow pool. At one end of the pool is the Pin Mill, a former hunting lodge built in 1730 and brought to the garden and rebuilt on site in 1938. 5 generations of Henry Pochin's family have lived at Bodnant and directed its growth. In 1949, Henry Pochin's grandson, Henry McLaurin, presented the garden to the National Trust, and his grandson, Michael McLaurin, is now the director. Bodnant House is still the private home of the family and is not open for visitors. The estate includes an arboretum with magnolias, rhododendrons, and the UK's largest collection of champion trees. In fact, there are 40 UK champions and 130 Welsh champions found on the Bodnant estate. Some of the trees date as far back as the 1700s. Among the champions are a giant sequoia and a Manchurian maple. The gardens include many blooms for visitors to enjoy, including magnolias, camellias, bluebells, herbaceous borders with an assortment of blooming plants, delphiniums and alliums, Himalayan poppies, and in winter, hellebores and witch hazel. There are so many beautiful blooms to see in this true 4-season garden. Guests can spend hours wandering the paths and still miss much of the beauty on offer. For refreshment, visitors will find 2 tea rooms on site, the Pavilion and the Magnolia. While the garden is beautiful, the tea rooms unfortunately get mixed reviews. The garden is managed by the National Trust and is open year-round from 10 to 4 and closed on Christmas. Well, that's about it for today's garden visit. Thank you for listening. I do hope you've enjoyed today's episode. As a reminder, we explore a new garden every single day. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. And if you haven't done so already, I invite you to like, subscribe, and click the check mark or do whatever you need to do to always get notified when I publish something new, which happens to be every single day. I really do appreciate all the support you've been giving the podcast. It means so much to me. If all goes well, I'll be right back here tomorrow. See you then.